Way past strange. The Black Volga, Death Car. No car in history has spread as much fear as the Black Volga. It is an urban legend that has floated around the countries of Eastern Europe. The car of death has rolled its way through Belarus, Czechoslovakia, Greece, Hungary, Mongolia, Poland, Romania, Russia, and Ukraine. Its activities are absolutely mysterious. Wherever the car went, people went missing, never to be seen again. All kinds of stories have been supplied for the reasoning, extending from extreme government corruption to the supernatural. It's wrong to think that these incidents are exclusive to the 1950s through the 70s. The truth is, the Black Volga never really went away, it just changed form. The mystery of the Black Volga was still very active after the turn of the century, and may still exist today. How it would happen. Imagine yourself walking around outside, minding your own business. A strange black car pulls up to you. Inside the car is a person you would expect to be trustworthy. This could be a priest or nun, a policeman, or some government agent, or just a friendly-looking person. Whoever this person is, he or she tries to break the ice with you. This person may ask you for the time, but whatever you are told, it's clear that this individual wants you to get in the car. If you're a trusting person, you'll go in the car of your own free will. If not, you are simply grabbed and pulled inside. Whatever the case, you are in the car, never to be seen again. You don't know the horrors that await you. No one does, except the people who have taken you. The Black Volga legend is a more modern version of the immortal boogeyman stories, and similar to the Men in Black stories. What is its purpose? The car itself. It's a real car. That can't be denied. The Gaz Automotive Company from the Soviet Union manufactured it. There are two models of Volgas referred to in the legend. One is the Gaz 21, the other Gaz 24. Gaz 21 was produced from 1956 to 70. There were three different series made for this car, most identifiable by the different grills. This Volga became the biggest and most luxurious car sold to individual owners in the USSR, but its high price made it unavailable for most car buyers. This is what leads people to believe that the person, or persons, responsible for the Black Volga incidents is rich. The Gaz 24 was produced from 1970 to 85. There were two different series made for this car. It's a much different looking car than the previous model, most notably its boxier design. This version is still just as large and luxurious as the 21. There is one major difference between these two cars. Although both of them were status symbols, the 24 was not commonly available to the public during most of its production run. You had to have a special permit to purchase them. This started to change sometime in the 1980s towards the end of its run. But why black? During most of the time of the 21 car's release, it was only available with black paint. It was a cost-saving measure from the manufacturer, but it only added to the scariness of the death car legend. When the 24 came out, there were a few more color options, but the cars of government officials were almost always black with red interiors. Besides being black, the car was known for its white accents such as white wheel rims and white curtains, among other things. A common theme in the stories is that there are no license plates. If there are license plates, they might have the number 666. Who drove the Black Volga? People of a higher social standing in Soviet Russia and surrounding countries were able to get the Black Volga. Important businessmen, government officials, certain celebrities, people like that. Yuri Gagarin, the Russian astronaut who became the first man in space, had one. Basically speaking, though, if you had the money, you could buy it. So shady criminals could also get their hands on this highly desirable car. When the 24 car came out, and a special permit was needed to acquire one, the scope of people who had them was shrunk down considerable. This is what leads people to believe the government was responsible for the Black Volga's misdeeds. It would seem that there was enough concern about the Black Volga's activities to instigate the practice of requiring a special permit. The car's large size and tough construction made the Volga popular for police and taxi drivers as well. They were also used by the KGB security agency. When people started talking about what the Black Volga did, all kinds of people were suspect. There is also the theory that the Black Volga was driven by Satanists, if not Satan himself. Whether the Black Volga legend is of human or supernatural origin, you have to admit that it's pretty crazy. How did the legend get started? It's easy to say that poor people, jealous of the rich people who own Black Volgas, just started spitballing and all these crazy stories came out. That may be a part of it, but there's a problem with saying that's the only thing to the Black Volga legend. Times change, people change, but the stories persist. Whoever, or whatever drove the Black Volga is claimed to have kidnapped people, especially children. Remains would sometimes be found, but for the most part, these people just vanished off the face of the earth. These are not baseless claims. What we do know for a fact is that Poland had an alarming number of missing children cases in the 1950s and 60s, reaching into the hundreds. Many of these cases involved vehicles. Black Volgas would be seen circling the streets of these neighborhoods, often at night. Remember that these cars were also popular as taxicabs. We also know that the Polish government tried to deny that children were being kidnapped on a large scale. Few of these missing children cases were ever resolved in any part, leading people to believe there was a cover-up at a high government level. How could nobody know nothing about this? One thing that's clear is that there had to be more than one car in operation. The area of Europe where these stories spread is too large, and there are some variations as to the car's appearance. This would be a deliberate attempt to throw people off their game and plant seeds of doubt that the Black Volga legend had any truth. On some occasions, the Volga would be red. The car would usually, but not always, have the white curtains and rims. It may or may not have had missing license plates. Some stories claim that horns replaced the wing mirrors, giving it that demonic overtone. If it's true about the horns, it's reasonable to suspect that this was also a trick to make witnesses sound nuts and throw everyone off the trail. What better way to cover up an actual human-run kidnapping ring than to make like it was spooky nonsense? There is one missing child case in Poland that I feel really deserves specific mention. In Warsaw, April 3rd, 1965, a woman by the name of Helena Hensel opened the door of her home to two women who claimed to be related to her husband. Helena let them in, and they visited for a few hours. When Helena had to leave for work, she asked the two women if they would watch her 3-year-old daughter, Liliana. The women agreed, and Helena went to work. When Helena came home after work, the women and her daughter were gone. Witnesses reported seeing the women and the little girl getting into a Black Volga at 1 in the afternoon. In a rare case concerning the Black Volga, the women were identified and the little girl was returned unharmed. Although this was a happy ending for the Hensels, it doesn't answer everything. For instance, the driver of the Black Volga was wearing a military uniform. What was that about? The two mysterious women were said to have actually been sisters. One woman claimed that she wanted to keep Liliana as her own because she was a healthy child. Her own child was blind. Okay, but why did the women go to such great lengths to kidnap this child? They had to be convincing enough for Helena to believe they were actually relatives of her husband. Did they do their research? If this was simply a case of two nutty women kidnapping a baby, couldn't they have snatched one easier from a park, on the street, or from a store? The women's attempt at baby snatching was pretty elaborate. There was more to this case than meets the eye, but since the little girl was returned, no one seemed to look at it more closely. But was it only children who were kidnapped by the Black Volga? Not at all. Stories of the KGB in Soviet Russia are legendary around the world. KGB is alleged to have been as ruthless and sneaky as the American CIA ever was. The KGB drove Black Volgas. As a matter of fact, their Volgas were customized to run a bit faster and better than other Volgas. Witness accounts have said that the car would drive off unusually fast, almost vanishing before their eyes. Maybe this has something to do with it. In Soviet Russia, it wasn't wise to be an idealist who spoke against the government. People who did this would be taken away by KGB in their Black Volgas, never to be seen alive again. The main takeaway from all this information is that there is some truth to the Black Volga legend. If there wasn't, it wouldn't have lived on this long. What happened to the victims? This is where the Black Volga legend becomes pure speculation. No one except the perpetrators themselves really knows the answer. One thing that is known is that the victim suffers great bodily harm. There are so many theories, many of them in the realm of extreme possibility. For instance, it is believed by some that victims are drained of their blood, which is then given to wealthy patients from all over the world who are awaiting transfusions. Along this order, it's also believed that people are stripped of their body parts, which are then sold in the black market. Kidnapped children could have been adopted out to wealthy people throughout the world, or put into a sex ring. If this really was the work of Satanists or actual demons, who knows what sick stuff happened to the victims? Blood sacrifices, souls captured for eternal torment. This is pretty far out, but so are the human explanations, and we know something was behind all this. Where did the Black Volga go? That's the thing. The Black Volga didn't just suddenly stop. When the 24 model came out in 1970, a special permit was required to even purchase one. Whoever was driving the death cars, because there had to be more than one in operation, had to change things up. It was still possible to see the old 21 Volgas out and about, but they already looked pretty outdated. Since it was harder to get a new Volga, what's a gang of psycho killers to do? Well, you just simply change cars. In Romania, for instance, the Volgas were replaced in the 1970s with the Dacia 1301. By the 1990s, the Dacia 1301s went away, leaving black ambulances as the primary cars of doom. In Czechoslovakia, black ambulances had already replaced the Black Volgas as early as the late 1970s. In 1990s Russia, the Volgas were replaced by black BMWs or Mercedes. These reports, for sure, have extended into the early 2000s. One thing that is important to consider is the fact that, if this Black Volga conspiracy is for real, several decades of operation would naturally make them smarter in how they do things and how they cover their tracks. Their biggest mistake in the 20th century was using the Black Volga too much. You didn't have to be a genius to make the connection that these cars were up to no good. The mysterious movie. If the Black Volga wasn't mysterious enough, the story spawned yet another mystery. Was there, or was there not, a Polish movie made about the Black Volga in 1973? This has become yet another urban legend. The movie was allegedly called Czarna Volga, translating to Black Volga in English. The tagline in English means, "There is no escape." Supposedly, the writer and director of this film was a man named Patrick Szymanski. If this movie was ever made, the powers that be did a good job of erasing its existence. No trace of the actual movie has been found as of this video, recorded in 2023. According to the story, The movie courted controversy from the beginning of the production, all the way up to and beyond its release. The movie was about KGB kidnapping children and selling them to wealthy Russians. These children were wanted for blood transfusions and organ transplants. This is still pretty edgy material today, let alone in 1973. It's understandable why people in and out of the government didn't want to have anything to do with this movie. The director was insistent on using an actual Black Volga in the movie. However, the presence of the car on the streets where the movie was filmed upset residents so much that they stormed the set and refused to leave until the Volga was removed. The producers had to convince Patrick to finish the film without using a Volga. Supposedly, the Volga only appears in one scene of this film. It is said that the film had only a handful of showings in theaters. The movie shocked people so much that the Polish government issued a ban on the film. Since the movie could no longer be shown in Poland, the producers decided to make an English dub of the movie in hopes it would be shown in the United States. Even then, the film could not find a distributor. It was shown for one weekend in a small New York City theater in 1974. Few people paid to see it, and the movie disappeared from this theater. Patrick never made another film, although he tried and failed to raise money for other projects. He was certainly blacklisted, but besides that, he came to believe that the Black Volga was cursed, and that he was cursed for trying to make a film about the topic. Is anything true about this movie? Did Patrick Zemansky even exist? There are no known news reports, articles, or any interviews out there from the filmmakers. It's possible that the existence of this movie is somebody's sick fiction. But how and when was this story created? If it is, in fact, a real movie, then the government of Poland did an extremely good job of erasing its existence from everything but the minds of a small group of people who have kept it alive all these years. Everything about the Black Volga is sketchy and ominous. It's a widespread legend that no one really knows anything about. Out of all the strange things in this world, this for sure is way past strange.